Hello! It's been a while, hasn't it? Feels good to be back, though. So, I'm sorry that my break between seasons was abrupt and not really announced. I figured that 50 episodes was a decent number of episodes for a first season, and you know, I didn't want to be just noise, so I decided to take a break for a few weeks, and now I'm back. This is the first official episode of season 2. Got some great stuff coming for you this season, hopefully. I got a couple, as you saw in the title, I got a couple tech topics to talk about, but first I got a couple other things to do.
Hey, this guy walking. Double espresso, please. $2.98.
Alright, so first I had to drop off some DVDs for a friend and help him get set up for his yard sale because he's moving so that he can go to college, or go to graduate school rather. And then I had to get a cup of coffee, obviously. But now I'm here. And so now I'm finally going to talk about what the title of this video is about. Alright, so as you know from the title of this video, I got two big tech topics to talk about. One of them being Apple Silicon, which is Apple's move to making their own processors instead of using processors from Intel, and Unreal Engine 5, which is kind of old news by now, but you know, I'm still going to talk about it now because I was on a break from my vlog when it came out. So first up, anyway, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by a dead battery, Apple has just announced that they're going to be switching to processors made entirely by themselves, in-house, designed and built and everything. So this is interesting for a few reasons. First of all, and primarily, it's a switch in the CPU architecture they use. So the CPU architecture is basically a set of instructions that are like the base level things that the CPU can do, right? Any code you write for that CPU gets translated into binary code that contains lists of the instructions that CPU is capable of performing. So the current Apple computers use processors from Intel, which are based on the x86 architecture. Now, Apple used to use, like, quite a while ago, processors based on the PowerPC architecture built by IBM and Motorola, but then they switched to Intel, and now they're switching again to their own processors based on a different architecture called ARM. And now Apple has been producing their own ARM chips for their mobile devices for a while. If you have an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod made within the past, like, you know, most of the history of iPhones, iPods, and iPads probably, then it probably has an Apple-made ARM chip. So they already have some experience making their own ARM-based CPUs. So hopefully this will be pretty good. But what I guess I would say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm cautious because I know the transition period is going to be weird, right? Like, because you have to basically rewrite your code, or at the very least recompile it. If you wrote it for an x86 CPU, and now you want to run it on an ARM CPU, you have to at least recompile it, and if your code uses an instruction that the ARM architecture has no equivalent for, you'll have to rewrite that part of the code around the ARM architecture and then recompile it. Apple has said that the transition period, they expect it to take 2 years. And so it's going to be weird during that period because there will be people who have Intel x86 based Macs, and there will be people who have ARM based Apple Silicon Macs. And so developers will need to make sure that their software can run on both systems at the same time. Now, Apple does have this thing called Rosetta. It's actually the second version, because their first version was for their transition from PowerPC to x86. So Rosetta 2 is supposed to be this like translation thing that'll take x86 programs and translate them to work on ARM CPUs and then they're also talked about this system called Universal Binary, which must be some way to write a program and compile it for a certain format that will work on both x86 Macs and ARM-based Macs. And also, Apple's still planning on releasing some Intel-based Macs in the future, like during their transition period. So they'll be releasing ARM-based Macs and x86-based Macs at the same time for the next couple of years. So it's going to be confusing for people like me who need to upgrade within the next few years. You know, do I choose a new ARM-based Mac? Do I choose an Intel-based Mac until ARM-based Macs get more mature and better? So I'm not exactly sure 100% what's going to happen here. Alright. I'm just videoing myself. Yeah, my head is like the only thing in frame right now. Anyway, but I'm also excited because I think this will be the first time that there will be ARM-based desktop CPUs. And by desktop, I mean desktop and laptop, of course, just anything that's not a mobile device. Because as far as I know, no one has made ARM-based desktop CPUs, like, ever. And for the, like, 3 people who watch me that know enough about tech, Raspberry Pi doesn't count. That's not really a desktop computer. It's a hobbyist all-in-one little thing. I don't consider it a desktop computer, even though you can technically use it like one. But, you know, ARM-based CPUs on the desktop haven't really had their day in the sun. So, this will be interesting to see if Apple can make ARM work as a desktop platform instead of just a mobile platform. And it'll also be interesting because Apple can optimize their chips for their computers. They've been having some trouble recently with Intel CPUs being running quite hot. And as Apple has tried to make their laptops thinner and lighter, the obvious thing that has been getting the short end of the stick is cooling, because you can't fit a giant fan or a giant heat sink in a tiny little thin and light laptop. And so Apple, because Intel is making the processors and not Apple has had to deal with whatever thermal performance Intel gives them. So they've been having issues with cooling, right? That's been a huge thing that a lot of people have been disappointed in recent Macs for, especially MacBook Pros. Their processors have thermal throttled and not given them the performance they need because they're just overheating, and the tiny little heatsink built into their thin and light MacBook Pro isn't cutting it. So I'm hoping that with building their own processors, Apple will be able to make to thermally optimize them for their small thin and light laptops, so that they can have that like pro level performance, but without the massive thermal penalty of that Intel processors. So if they can get that right, that'll be really exciting. All right, my other tech topic is Unreal Engine 5. And I know the Unreal Engine 5 announcement was like a long time ago, and I'm pretty late, but I'm still going to talk about it. So, Unreal Engine is a very popular game engine, and if you don't know what a game engine is, basically it's a software development environment. It's a framework for making video games. Usually it has, like most video game engines have, a renderer built in and a physics engine and a bunch of other things built, like functionality built in, so that it's a lot easier for developers to just make a game instead of worrying about all of the like framework and behind the scenes stuff that they might otherwise have to worry about. So Unreal Engine is a popular game engine developed by Epic Games. Yes, the same Epic Games that develops Fortnite. And the version 5 made quite a splash because it had a few specific, really interesting new improvements, but everybody only talked about one application for those new improvements, and they didn't talk about very many other things. So the new improvements, at least the two on their website, are Nanite, which is basically a new way of handling 3D assets and micro polygon geometry. Basically, instead of when game developers are bringing in 3D models, instead of having to bake in separate levels of detail for the model as you get closer and farther away, the Nanite system will stream the models directly off of the hard drive and scale them in real time, so that you can just bring one model in and not worry about, oh, I need to create a low detail one for when you're really far away, and a medium detail one, and a high detail one for when you're like right up close to it. You just make one model with all the detail you'll need, and then the engine will automatically adjust and like stream it right off the drive, the solid state drive. Probably not a hard drive, because hard drives are probably too slow, but it'll stream it right off the solid state drive and scale it in real time, so that the developers don't have to worry about that. And with that, part of that comes the ability to import cinema quality 3D models, like the kind you use in movies where you need something to look photorealistic. And that's great. The games will look so much better. Anything made with Unreal Engine can look so much better if it can handle that level of detail. The other thing is Lumen, which is a new global illumination solution. I think it's supposed to be meant to close the gap a little bit between real-time ray tracing and traditional lighting, because real-time ray tracing has become a huge thing in gaming recently with NVIDIA's RTX graphics cards, but not everybody is capable of running that. And so I think this might be a way to kind of bring gaming closer to that without requiring everyone to be able to use real-time ray tracing. And so obviously these things and anything else the final Unreal Engine 5 are great for gaming, right? You'll be able to create better, more immersive, more realistic games, which will be great. But the other thing that not everybody's talking about is that Unreal Engine has been working a lot with virtual production, right? Making movies and TV shows and stuff using Unreal Engine to help. So, I don't know how many of you have seen the TV show The Mandalorian. It's a Star Wars TV show on Disney+. But The Mandalorian was shot entirely on a set with a big video wall and a virtual background generated in Unreal Engine. There was a tracker on the camera, and the virtual background was changed and updated to always look realistic and 3D from the perspective of the camera. And it's really cool. And so instead of doing green screen and having to worry about color matching your virtual background and making it look like it was shot on the same camera and lens as your actors, you can actually shoot your virtual background in real time with your actors in front of it, and you know, the light will interact nicely and you don't have to worry about weird green reflections on actors, and you don't have to worry about any of that. You can shoot your background in your virtual background in the same shot as your actors. And I think that these improvements will be great for stuff like that, right? Like the ability to import cinema quality 3D assets and handle them directly, the ability to change the level of detail on the fly. So like if you're walking up to something, you're getting closer to something, the background can change to reflect a higher level of detail. All of that will be really great for future productions that decide to use Unreal Engine instead of green screens. And the other thing, Corridor Digital made a video about this, I'll link it up here, but some people have actually produced entire videos in Unreal Engine, like just using motion capture data and face tracking data and voice acting, and then using the motion capture and face tracking data to animate a 3D model. And it's really cool, it's really interesting. The movie Avatar, the James Cameron one, not the animated TV series, there were a lot of scenes in that. I don't think it was Unreal Engine, but it was a similar concept where the actors were acting in real time in motion capture suits, and then the director had this like virtual camera that was tracked by the computer, and it could see the 3D environment. So I think that this new version of Unreal Engine will be really cool for virtual production stuff like that as well. How close he is. He's letting me get this close to him. Hey bud, come here. This is weird to me. Alright, now I'm gonna go head back to my friend's yard sale and hang out there for a while. See if he needs any help with anything. Hi.
Well, hi Ben, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
How's the sale going?
Very well. Good.
Where's Terrence?
I don't know, but you're sitting inside for a second.
Whoops.
Yeah.
You want to be in the vlog?
Hi, this is Big T from the group home. How y'all doing?
Yeah.
Help a brother.
Tell him how the yard sale's going.
Yeah, how's the yard sale going?
Well, I gotta tell you, the Havens family are helping me with my yard sale. My name is Papillon, by the way. Peace. And the Havens family, you know, they're helping me with my yard sale. We were doing very, very well. I'm not gonna throw numbers out because I don't want you to find me and come rob me to fill. But it's going very well, very well. It's very hot.
Yeah.
But we found a shady spot, and so you know, it's going well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Power to the people.
So where are you going to grad? You're going to grad school, right?
Yes, I'm going to grad school in the Finger Lakes area, CUCA.
Cool.
And trying to get a master's degree so I can help people that's been through some stuff. And we all have been through some stuff.
Yeah.
And my friend here, he's about to get his undergrad degree at Houghton. Am I correct?
Yep. This is my senior year, so that's gonna be.
Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So to all you people, what do you call people that watch blogs? Like blogettes or something?
No, I just
Blockheads!
There you go.
No, I call. Well, it's a YouTube channel, so they're just my subscribers.
Yep. So to everyone, have a safe and enjoyable holiday and summer. Papillon, I'm out.
All right, guys, that does it for this week. Sorry, it's a bit of a long one. Be sure to like this video if you liked it, of course. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.